to Integration TV. I'm Hoban Nalea. We are proud to be the first English television for Somalis around the world. Every week we bring you stories that inspire, empower, and enlighten our community. This is Somali social media. On today's program, we're going to meet two dynamic young Somalis from Toronto's first Somali neighborhood. Two young, hard-working professionals who are now entrepreneurs. They became friends in Dixon and continued now to make a new and exciting app for Muslims around the world. Imagine this, they're creating an app that lets anybody donate to a charitable organization. Simple, but an amazing idea. Ummahloop is the first application for Muslims around the world where they can donate to the charity of their choice. And it's founded by these young, amazing Somali men. Meet Rable Noor and Abraham Hashi. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I'm so excited, guys.
Yeah.
Don't be nervous. This is our Somali social media. You're among all the Somalis in the world, right?
Perfect. It's exactly what we want.
We couldn't be anywhere better.
So this is exciting. You guys are friends, grew up together in what I call a nice neighborhood, but most people call it a tough neighborhood, Dixon. And now you're entrepreneurs. Tell me about this app called Ummahloop.
Well, Ummahloop is an online platform that lets Muslims donate to any charities of their choice through a smartphone, right? iOS and Android, and basically on a tablet and as well as on desktop. The great thing about this is that basically you do it on the go anytime you want, anywhere you're at. You don't necessarily restricted to be inside of a mosque or a charity, and it gives you the freedom to be able to donate at will.
You know what I love is the fact that, I mean, I go to the mosque sometimes and you don't have cash on you, so now you're telling me I can just take my phone and just be like, 20 bucks, 30 bucks.
That's the idea, pretty much.
That's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that's the idea. And then the good thing about that is that you actually get an instant tax receipt, right? A CRA pre-approved tax receipt on the spot. And then at the end of the year, you get a
what is that, like the government for Canadians?
That's it, yeah.
Okay, so Canadians get a tax receipt also.
Canadians get a tax receipt. We're working on the U.S. for our U.S. customers. But for Canadians, when you pay a donation towards a charity, you tend to get sort of a tax deductible where you can use that towards your taxes at the end of the year. So this charity, this receipt is for that.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
So before we get to the receipts part, Abraham, what inspired this idea?
You know, it came from actually a time where I was sitting in a Jum'ah prayer and listening to the Sheikh and speaking about the ideas and the needs for more community-driven, support and helping each other grow, and just making more donations. And ironically enough, I was so compelled to make a donation, but I didn't have the funds. And going back to what you said a few seconds ago about, going to the masjid and not having
who
cash.
carries cash anymore?
Well, that's the thing, right? And in a time where everybody's on a smartphone, I was in a position to want to donate, but just with the lack of not having cash on me, I couldn't. So that's kind of where the idea came from, and why we are where we are today, and giving people that option to have chances to ways to donate, and giving them a better option to do that.
So this is exciting. So when you basically decided to act on this idea, what challenges did you face?
So initially we obviously looked at whether or not this was even around, if the concept was working somewhere else. One of the biggest challenges we had was it wasn't, and that was a good thing and a bad thing, because we had to start from scratch in terms of market research and seeing how people would react to it, how feasible the concept even is to begin with. And one of the biggest challenges was, getting the charities to actually buy into the idea of working with a smaller company that, looks at their biggest interests and, has dynamic ways of, making the donation process a lot better now. And one of the things was, like I said, just convincing them, leaving the big brand name companies and, coming to us and, accepting what we have.
You guys are more hands-on.
Absolutely, right? So.
And then 100% of the donation goes straight to the charity.
Yeah.
So there's no like fees cut or anything.
There's no fees and cut, and I think that was the primary element in us putting together this app. One of the first things we said is that we know how hard charities are working to get every dollar possible. We know every single donor who's donating towards it, they're expecting every penny to go towards them. So a lot of our competitors are actually charging a fee on it. We don't. We come in, there's a transaction fee that any bank will charge for that. So we dealt with, negotiated with our banking partners, and we said, listen, we kind of give them a sort of a reality scope in terms of what these charities are going through, and we said, this is the product that we have in place. Here is a plan that we want. We don't want to charge a fee, and there's already a transaction fee in place, but we want to make sure that every penny goes straight to the charity as much as we can. So that was really the element that we put in place, and we sort of, when they saw the story and how compelling it was in terms of from a perspective of the research that we did and how big these charities can get with time, they really saw the value in what we're doing, and they went along with that. And that's really what gives us a competitive edge over our competitors, because our competitors are not able to say we do 100% donation policy. And this is going from a transactional perspective, right? Mm-hmm. So they can't say that. So we're in that position to be able to say that and actually act on it.
So now, have you convinced anybody to buy? That's the big question, right?
Absolutely.
Who's on board? Because I'm interested now. Yeah. I need to open a charity and then start.
We do. We have approximately 28, 30 charities on board. And it's really great.
So hold on. So you just launched not too long ago,
yes.
and you already have 30 people on board.
30 charities on board, and I think when you sit down,
that's phenomenal.
Thank you, thank you. And
wow, I'm amazed. I'm a salesperson, so I'm very amazed that you've been able to turn these into actual clients. That's
absolutely
phenomenal.
No, it's great, and I think one of the things we did is that we've actually in a meta conversation, should we say more of a negotiation, sort of a last steps of it with one of the biggest charities that we have on board that's about to come on board, and it's also the first client that we're taking global. So we're taking this client from.
And you guys are Somali. I'm just so happy.
Thank you.
This is exciting.
Yeah. It definitely is. So we're taking this client from. They currently are actually global. So we're taking them to Canada, the U.S., to the UK, all of Europe, and as well as Australia, Singapore, and Malaysia.
Wow.
So we're able to be processing across all those countries, processing approximately 143 different currencies globally.
Amazing.
Right? So for a small company to be able to scale up quickly and be able to deliver that's the level of service is quite the achievement in that aspect.
You guys are two guys from Dixon who decided to take the initiative and become entrepreneurs. What was that leap of faith like?
You know what? It came from, wanting to make something happen for yourself and your community, and look back and say, we were told all our lives that we couldn't do something, and being coming from where we come from, it's just like, how do you transition into the real world, right? Like you're almost in a bubble for your whole life, and you say anything is possible. You hear it all the time, but is it really, right? And that's kind of what drove us and made us say, you know what, this is something that we can do. There's a void in this market, right? So we figured that we can definitely tackle this in a really efficient manner, and that was the drive behind it, right? Just making prayer and saying this is possible. Let's go ahead and do it.
So basically, it's a mindset that it takes to become an entrepreneur.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's almost the same thing with anything in this world. Like you don't have to tell yourself, hey, am I qualified for this? Can I do it? Anything is possible. And the example I like to use a lot is, say if you were in a coma for 10 years and your memory was completely wiped blank and you had no memory of anything that you've done in the past, and all of a sudden, boom, you woke up, and right above you was a bunch of firefighters, or say a bunch of doctors, or say a bunch of lawyers, and they told you, hey, get up, it's time to go to work. All of a sudden, you're looking around you and you're seeing all these people dressed in different uniforms, and now you're saying, who am I? What am I doing? And now you're told, hey, you're a firefighter. Let's go. You put on that uniform. In your mind, you're thinking, I'm a firefighter. Like everything that's been in the past is gone, right? So it's all in the brain. Whatever you think about, you can do, right? So just, hone all that energy and just gear it towards what you want to do, right? Then don't let all the outside noise bother you. You just block it off, focus on what you have to focus and execute.
Now, did you have like any dream killers on the journey? Because I get that all the time, a lot of dream killers. People that don't believe what you're doing, they just tell you negative things. Who are you to do this, right?
And that's the thing, right?
Do you get that a lot when you're doing this?
Yes and no. I mean, those challenges come from, anything you do in life, right? Whether it's, pursuing a degree for any type of reason, you're told it's not possible, it's too hard. The key thing is always try and find out it's not possible once you've tried it. Like, don't allow somebody's opinion to stop you and, discourage you, because at the end of the day, it's either you're going to, accomplish it or not accomplish it. My opinion is accomplish it on your own terms. Don't let somebody else's opinion, make you not do it. Yeah. Just go ahead and do it. Then at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least you can sleep good at night knowing that you yourself tried it and all obstacles allowed it to not work, right? But no matter what, don't let opinion make you not try.
So what was it like growing up in Dixon?
Interesting.
For those of you that don't know Dixon, Dixon is like this famous neighborhood where all the Somalis arrived in Canada and Toronto lived, sometimes like 20 to 30 in an apartment. Because we're that kind of people. We help each other, right, guys?
Absolutely.
So Dixon, what was it like growing up in Dixon?
It was different for me because I actually came from a small town before coming to Toronto, moving to Toronto with my parents. So it was slightly different. It was a lot more, it got comfortable really quick because you're going back to your environment. You go back to an environment where it's your culture, everyone's speaking the same language. So you're pretty much at home, right? You get to meet people. I met Abraham there. I met other people there that we worked with along the way. You know, going to school, everything, it's great. I love the neighborhood. It's one of those neighborhoods that you hold it to your heart and you always go back to it, regardless of where you are in life. So obviously, it's something I constantly go back. I don't even live there anymore, but I constantly go back there. So I'm there at least once a week.
Did you get beat up or anything?
No.
Come on.
What
happened? Any neighborhood fights?
No.
Dixon was so peace-loving back then. Huh?
You know, yeah, back then it was. It still is. It's a great place to raise kids, especially if you're new to the country and you really want that circle of community of your own. It's a great place to go for Somalis.
Now the neighborhood has gotten a little bit of a rep last couple of years. Have you guys seen a big change, EB?
Yeah, it's...
Your nickname is EB, by the way, to the neighborhood, guys.
You know
my
what?
apologies.
No, it's all good. There has been a lot of changes in the positive light as well. Dixon, like I said, like Rob was saying, it's a very interesting place. It's a mashup of tons of different people. You know, it's not only home to Somalis, but obviously it's a more predominant Somali neighborhood. The last few years, there has been a lot of positive changes, like I was saying. For me personally, I've got a really deep connection with Dixon. It was the first place I've lived. I've lived there my whole life, and you know, family's still there. I have deep ties to that place, and you know, I love Dixon to the core. But I just feel like a lot of the times you find yourself in a position where you have a mind state where the only people that you see are the only people that you're going to be with for the rest of your life, and that's not the case all the time. And it shouldn't be, because a lot of the times if you find yourself always hanging out with just say Ali, Umar or Farah, your entire life mind state will be only what Ali, Umar or Farah know, right? So I always believe in the idea of getting out, exploring the world, you know, talking to people, networking, connecting with different cultures and trying to learn what the world has to offer, right? And you know, as a kid growing up in Dixon, you know, hanging out in the courtyard, I'd always look up in the sky, and we always used to see these, because Dixon was right next to the airport, right? And watching these planes go up and down all the time, passing over the buildings, and you always used to wonder, like, where are these people going? Where are they coming from? And it's just that idea that was in me, is like always wanted to get out and, you know, see the world, right? And again, it's always going to be in my heart, and I always want to give back and, you know, help the people there.
That's amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Now, an app like this, Ummahloop, takes a lot to put together. Earlier, we talked to your Chief Technology Officer, Jetley, and we're going to roll the tape and find out like what it takes to really get this product going, because it's pretty phenomenal that millions of people could be online at one time donating. So let's talk to Jetley and find out what he does.
As a Chief Technology Officer, I have to make sure the company's vision is fulfilled, especially on the technology front. I have to make sure that future development is secured enough and the app and the systems are well aligned in the cutting edge technology. We were 6 guys who were working on this application, and we have given a really good platform for both donors and for the charities, so that they can see everything right from the dashboard on, especially on the whatever the transaction that they have done. And it took almost 12 months for us to develop this app.
Thanks, Manesh. That was phenomenal to know that it takes 12 months to develop an app. That is a lot of work, guys. I mean, you've put years into this, basically.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of apps out there that you can do it in literally a matter of days. But our app is a lot more complex, right?
Yeah, it's secure, right?
It's secure. You're looking at an entire banking infrastructure behind it. You're looking at a payment system behind it. You're looking at everything from security to customer experience. You're looking at everything from that to the flow, the features. So you got to make sure that everything is sort of all in sync. So that's why it took 12 months to do it, right? In various different phases along the way. So that's why it took that much time, and approximately 5 to 7 people on that, and just 5 to 7 developers and full stack engineers and UX designers on that around the clock, just to make sure it happened.
You know what I like is the fact that you guys actually also invested in yourselves, because I think as an entrepreneur, it takes believing in yourself and putting your own capital up before you're asking people to invest in your product. So tell us about that process.
Yeah, you know, there's a key thing with that is, I mean, you have to first and foremost always believe in yourself. Nobody's going to go out there and say, hey, I think you can do it, I'll put money in your pocket, go ahead and do it, right? It doesn't work that way. It always starts with you taking the initiative to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to take any more failures, I don't want to take any more losses, I'm going to try it no matter what happens. Whether it works or not, it's going to be done. And the key thing is taking that initiative, and then as you go along the way, you know, creating a team of great people around you that can actually continue to push you, because you always want that, you know, that balance of personality that sometimes you can slow down, but then somebody's going to lift you up and say, hey, keep going, right? So that's definitely important.
But you guys both were working professionals and then started investing in the product and then building.
Yeah, we did. We invested ourselves, so pretty much we're bootstrapping along the way, and it's our money on the line, and we made sure that every ounce of it, there was a perfect return on investments to what we see right now in 6 months, where we have an app that has a really good value for what we have today, and that's why we're confident enough that when we go to marketplace within the next few months for asking for in front of investors, we'll get a really good hefty return in order for us to really go back and rebuild this and scale it up to a point where it becomes a global application.
Well, that's phenomenal. I'm really glad we had the opportunity to get to know you guys today. What advice do you guys have for young people out there? Because I'm sure somebody is out there watching thinking that they could be the next entrepreneur that follows their dream and does what they want to do. You know, I'm all about dreams, so tell me.
You know what, to me it's dream big. Don't let anything persuade you to do otherwise, and a lot of people are going to be there trying to persuade you to stop or not believe in yourself, but to me it's dream as big as you can and fulfill it. It's all about ethics and hard work at the end of the day. That's what it takes to really pull anything together, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's a business that you're starting, whether it's you're in school, regardless of whatever task you took on, it's about your work ethics and the amount of effort you put in. So
what advice do you have for a young kid in Dixon who's looking up at the airplanes?
For me, I think the most important thing to know that is no matter what happens, it's all about what you're made of. You know, the water that boils the egg, that hardens the egg, softens the potato at the same time, right? It's all about circumstances and what you're made of, right? So as long as you know that, you know, you can do this thing here, you can do it. As long as you tell yourself, no matter what happens, I'm going to keep going, you can do it, right? I think the best advice I can give to any young person out there is no matter what it is that you're pursuing, whether it's entrepreneurship, you know, a professional career that you want to chase after, you know, work hard, always work hard. Like that extra push is when it matters, right? And when you're working out, that last push, the last 2-3 reps, those are the ones that count, right? Always give it your 100%, and never, ever, 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 you know, tell yourself you can't do it. Always try, and it'll work out.
And it's from experience, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where a lot of big charities that we have that came at us, and we're competing on an RFP against bigger giants, and they're saying, can you do this A, B, C, and D? And we're looking at each other, and it's like, we don't have the capabilities today, but we can do it as soon as you give us the business. But we went ahead and really believed in ourselves and then go back to our IT team and try to implement these things, right? We could have quit so many times, but we went ahead, dig deep in us, and found that little bit of ounce of energy that we needed to get everything on point. So we're talking from experience in that perspective.
Well, I think you guys have done well. I love your offices, and you're in the heart of downtown Toronto.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Thank you.
So thank you for sharing with us your entrepreneurial spirit, and good luck with everything. We can't wait to see more success coming from you guys.
Thanks
so much.
Waiting for you guys to hit the stock market or something.
Thank you so much.
How can I invest now, right? Thanks so
again.
much.
Inshallah, yeah.
You can check out Ummahloop. Go to their website, ummahloop.com, and also you can download on the App Store and Google Play. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on Integration TV. Don't forget, you can always connect with us 24 hours a day on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.